Steve Mariucci in the Mondays with Mooch segment here on the Rich Eisen Show. What does Todd Bowles do with that now, Steve?
Wow, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that clip until just now.
Okay.
So I fell off my chair. I got back up. Wow, that's something you would say when you leave an organization, maybe, that nobody believed in you or whatever that is. Not after they kept you active and put you in the game and oh boy. Are you going to dress up like Ryan Fitzpatrick on Halloween?
The ghost of Ryan Fitzpatrick. The walking ghost is what?
Walking corpse.
Oh, walking corpse. Because we're
right.
going to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan of The Walking Dead on the show tomorrow. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct.
So, but what do you do if you're Todd Bowles now? Because you're 2-5, and your quarterback just called you, and your boss is out, right? And if you turn it,
sort of. Is that? He just said they don't believe in him. It probably is a true statement, okay? But they're giving him every opportunity to continue his career. And it seems to me that, if I were the coach, and I would want to see what else I have on my roster. I don't know that they're going to make the playoffs. And so let's find out what Bryce Petty's all about. Let's find out maybe even Hackenberg. I don't know, but I want to see Bryce Petty. He's been sitting around for a long time, and he might need a chance.
Well, I mean, at this point in time, if he's healthy, if that's the reason why, maybe the reason why he's been inactive for all these weeks is he hasn't been healthy enough. He did get banged up in the preseason, but now he's got to go, right? He's got to be up. You're not going to sign another quarterback to this.
Yeah. What's the prognosis on Geno? Have you heard this morning?
Ian Rappaport says it could be an ACL, and he's getting a second opinion. Out.
Well, either way, he's not going to be up for a little bit, right? So, yeah, Petty will be up and active, and if Fitz throws one more interception or something, boom, put him in. Put the kid in. Let's see what you got. But this is temporary. The Jets are not going to sign Fitz again next year. They don't need this grief, and it was too expensive anyway. I was all for it. I wanted them to sign Fitz because they're 10-6 last year. Yeah, they're right there. They're knocking on the door, and I thought they could get in as a wild card this year. And so now it doesn't quite look like it. They're not going to pay him that kind of money next year. So I think you have to move on and try to research who might be a candidate for next year's quarterback spot.
Steve Mariucci joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did the Vikings get exposed at all yesterday?
Those are two good teams now fighting it out over there, and I'm impressed with the Eagles. But, I think the Vikings' offensive line was a little bit exposed. They're getting banged up, Rich, When you start pretty soon, you can only withstand so many injuries. Your tailback's gone, your starting quarterback's gone. They plugged up that hole with Sam. That was a good one. But when you start, you got your left tackle out, Khalil, and then you get more guys dinged. All of a sudden, you're not quite the same. And when you play a good team that's hot on a day like that, then you get exposed. Now, the Vikings are a great team, great on defense. They really are. And they'll be fine. They're going to win that division, I believe. But, they came down to reality a little bit, didn't they?
They did, but that left tackle spot is a thing that concerns me. Because
that's the backside. That's your main bodyguard as a quarterback. And so if you don't have confidence that that side is, protected, and you don't have to be worrying about looking over your shoulder or feeling that pressure and having to chip with a back and a tight end every darn time, that's unsettling for any quarterback if your left tackle is out of there. So right now that's becoming a bit of an issue. And, they got to find ways to chip and help over there so Sam is more comfortable in the pocket.
What'd you think of Dan Quinn's decision to go for it in overtime?
You know what? Dan Quinn's on my tree, He's on my tree.
I know that. You asked his wife if she was ready to come to work in San Francisco.
Yeah, when I offered him the job, I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to talk to his wife.
That's right.
Because I wanted to make sure she was okay moving all the way across the country from Hofstra to the West Coast. You guys going to be okay with that? And she said, yeah. I said, okay, put Dan on the line. and then, you know what? He's trying to build a culture there of winning and being explosive and, sometimes being a little risk-taking and that kind of thing. And he took a chance. That's what he did, It wasn't a slam dunk. He just took a chance, and he's trying to make a statement. I believe in my guys. And so, those don't work out every single time. But, boy, I really like where they're headed. They're playing great on offense, and they're playing better than expected on defense. So that's a fun team to watch, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the fun team to watch is the Chargers. I was saying, but
Yeah.
you know, after what we saw on NFL Network yesterday, and then on Thursday night, and you know, with a matchup tonight of Brock Osweiler versus Trevor Siemian, not lighting too many fires. You know, we need to see more of the Chargers. Everybody should flex into Chargers games right now.
I
National
love
TV.
Phillip Rivers. He is. I love his energy. You know, he's kind of wound up tight. You know, you see that when he plays. You see it on the sideline. You see it when you interview him on the set after the game. He's just fired up, and God, I love that. You know, I so much prefer that kind of a leader than somebody that's a type B personality, that's kind of cerebral and soft-spoken and kind of to himself and not show emotion. That kind of drives me a little nuts, and that can be successful at times too. But I love Phillip Rivers. He's the spark plug. He's the pulse of that team, and they've been hurt. And Melvin Gordon's coming around with 10 touchdowns all of a sudden. Is he better than Todd Gurley? Did I say that?
Mm.
And so, I mean, you know, he's this is a fun team to watch, and you know the Chargers have been so banged up, and Mike McCoy on the hot seat. Geez.
Yeah, and then the Raiders, they've won every single game away from the black hole. They're 4-0, and now they're next up at Tampa. So they got to go. I don't know if they're going to stay in Florida. They just lost. They just beat Jacksonville and whipped them. Now come the Raiders taking on the Buccaneers, and then they're home for the Broncos, Texans, and Panthers all in a row with a bye week wrapped around it. How good do you think this team is, Steve?
You know, Jack's done a nice job of finding a way to travel better than they had the previous 6 or 8 years. They were getting thumped on the East Coast time zone. Rich, when I was coaching the Niners, if you recall, the NFC West included the Niners, included Carolina Panthers. This is West, we called it. It included the Saints. It included the Atlanta Falcons. We had to travel to the West, you know, to the East Coast time zone every division game. It was crazy. It's hard. It's really hard. And so, because, you know, you kick off at 1 o'clock, you know, it's 10 o'clock your time, you're getting up at 5 in the morning your time, your body's not really ready to do that. And so they found a way to play well over there. Part of that is because they've got a quarterback that's really going to be special, Derek Carr. But I love that division now. The AFC West, the Raiders are back. They're going to be going to Vegas. The Broncos are a good team. We know that. The Chiefs with Andy Reid, they're good. And here are the Chargers. Man, that's a fun division to watch.
And then last one for you here, Steve. You know, you've got that great division that you just mentioned. And then you got the NFC West, where last night, I mean, have you ever seen anything like that? What do you think Carroll and Arians were going through with their kickers?
Oh my God!
Overtime, Steve. Do you ever want to strangle a kicker, Steve?
Hey, yeah. So when I had a rule on my teams. All right, nobody talks to the kicker. Don't even talk to him.
What do you mean?
No coaches or no players. Nobody is allowed to talk to the kicker except me and his special teams coach. That's it. Because you never know how they're going to react to anything. You know, you don't know if they're going to be. You know, if somebody goes, "Oh, let's go, Mac," or so yells at him, he might hide under the bed. I don't know. Those guys are different, you know, and so important. So you know, it comes down. This game was a weird game to watch. I don't know if it was fun. It was weird. So many penalties, and you could and. Did you ever see Russell Wilson's offense punt 7, 8, 9 times in a row?
Well, I mean, Collinsworth and Al Michaels and NBC pointed out perfectly that the number of times that he's run the ball, number of yards, he hasn't even cracked 50 yards rushing this year, Steve. Not even 40. And this is a guy who almost ran for 1,000 yards 2 years ago. He's clearly
not healthy, Rich. I mean, he's got an ankle and a knee, and he's a tough guy, and he won't complain about it or make it a big deal. But you know, it's hurting him, or he at least is being cautious with it. And so, you know, we've seen them explosive. They were leading the league in throws over, you know, the air yard thing over 20 yards, and so they're capable. But you saw two good defenses now. When Arizona plays defense, they're good, and we know Seattle's good on defense. But 3-3, and then that overtime. I mean, 6-6, and then you get both kickers. I get a kick out of. I felt so bad. I'm sitting there watching it with Gail, right?
Yep.
So I get home I fly home after I'm with you all day, and then, so we're watching the game, and that poor kicker from the Cardinals doinks it off the. You can't doink it off the left upright if you try, and then boom, it happens, and she's screaming, and then the cameras keep showing the poor kid. She's almost crying because they keep showing this guy, and he's like, "I lost the game for my team," and then he gets a favor from the other kicker. What a doozy! I hate ties, Rich. Mm-hmm. There's not even a column in the in the standings for a tie. Don't even put it in there.
Well, we
should just play these games out.
So did anyone ever break the rule of not talking to the kicker? Anybody ever break that?
Yeah, T.O. did. T.O. would start yelling at the kicker sometime when he missed one. We had a guy named Wade Ritchie. And T.O. would call him Wide Richie, and so. But I got a kicking net story. You want to hear it?
Yeah, go.
Did I ever tell you the one when I was going to pull? Odell Beckham is proposed to a kicking net.
Yes.
Kicking nets have had a history in my career, and so we're kicking somebody's butt, and I was going to pull Steve Young out of the game because we were winning, and I said, Napper, pull Steve out of the game, put the other guy in. He goes, Coach, why don't you just leave him in there for a little longer? I go, no, take him out. So Napper says, oh, why don't you tell him? He didn't want to tell Steve to come out of the game. So I think Napper told him. I think Napper warned Steve that, hey, Coach is coming to take you out of the game. So now I'm looking for Steve. Now I'm looking for him, and he is hiding. Steve Young this is during the game. Steve Young runs over there by the kicking net. He hid behind the kicking net. So I'm looking for him, and finally I see this figure kind of crouch down behind the net. So I go over there, and he goes, no, and he puts his fingers up. He puts his two fingers up like a cross, like I'm some vampire or something. No, don't do it. Don't do it. And he's trying to stay in the game like that. That's it. You're out. This kicking net's not going to help you. You're out. And so that's my kicking net story. So the guys, this whole thing with the kickers, don't mess with kickers. Are they people? I don't know yet.
They are. They're obviously human. They obviously make mistakes. We saw that, Steve. We saw that.
Yes, we did.
You're the man. Thanks, Mooch. We'll chat soon.
All right, guys. Bye.
That's Steve Mariucci.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.